The easiest way to explain hyperbolas without me being there in front of you to help you guys out is to kind of look at an equation and break it down and show you why it goes in the direction it goes and what all these terms mean of transverse axis, conjugate axis, and all that kind of stuff. So just like the other, the ellipse, we have an A, B, C, H, and K. And the H and K is just like it was before. And it is 1 and -2. Some of you are still messing up on those signs, but just know that you change the signs of what's inside the parentheses. The H is the opposite of the guy next to the X, and the K is the opposite of the guy next to the Y, if you follow your formula sheet. Now, in ellipses, the A was always bigger than the B. So what a lot of kids do is they screw this up with A and B because they keep thinking of ellipses. So you have to think of your differences. Your differences is that at this point, if you notice the homework that I gave you on Friday, some of them had the same number underneath, like a 4 and a 4 or a 5 and a 5. So A and B have no relation whatsoever. A could be bigger than B, A could be equal to B, A could be less than B. So forget about the ellipses when you're doing hyperbolas. So A is the guy under the positive term. And in this case, the X is the positive term. So if 4 is underneath there, that's A squared. So A is 2. And the B is the other guy, the square root of the other guy, which would be 3. Now for the ellipse, here's another difference between ellipses and hyperbolas, which is why I gave you that for homework. It's A squared plus B squared equals C squared now. And so we can find C easily by doing 4 plus 9 equals C squared. So it's the square root of 13 is C. So now we have to decide if this is horizontal or vertical. This is very important too. In the ellipse, it was where the big guy was, but not in the hyperbola. Hyperbola, it says if the X is the positive term, which it is in this case, it's a horizontal. If the Y is a positive term, it's a vertical. So we know this is horizontal. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to graph the center, and the center is 1, -2, right here. And then since it's horizontal, we're going to take the A and go right 2 and left 2. And the B, we're going to go up 3 and down 3. Okay? And then we're going to draw a square, or a rectangle, sorry. A rectangle connecting all these dots. Now, when you see the word, the asymptotes and all that, all you're going to do with the asymptotes is connect the corners of the rectangle. So you're going to go like this. And you're going to go like this. And I don't have a ruler on my iPad because it messes it up. All right. So now we've got to find like the foci and the vertices. Since this is horizontal, these are the vertices because they connect the parabolas. What a hyperbola is like if you took an ellipse and you had you know how sometimes magnets like go against each other. Well, it's like an ellipse went like bounce back, and you're going to have a parabola going in each direction. Since this is horizontal, your parabolas are going to hug the asymptotes on both sides, and it's a horizontal at 1. And your foci will be somewhere inside these parabolas. So let's find the foci for this. It's H minus C comma K and H plus C comma K. Well, if we find the square root of 13, it's 3.61. So 1 minus 3.61 is negative 2.61 comma negative 2. And 1 plus 3.61 is 4.61 comma 2. So we just plot those where they go. Negative 2.61 is a little over half. Minus 2 would be here. There's your first foci. And then positive 4.61 is here. Minus 2 would be about here. So your foci ended up right inside the parabolas. That's your clue 2. If your parabolas are going up and down, your foci should be above the rectangle and below the rectangle. So this part here is called the transverse axis. That's the one that connects the two parabolas together. That's the transverse. And this here is the conjugate. It's the other guy. And all that B is to find C and to find your foci and to see how wide the parabola is. So this hyperbola thing is a little bit weird, but just listen to the video a couple times if you need to. Now in this one, the Y is the positive term right here. So this is going to be a vertical. So we still have the A, B, C, H, and K. And the H is going to be the opposite of the guy next to the X. The K is going to be the opposite of the guy next to the Y. A is going to be the first guy, so it's going to be a 4. And B is going to be a 3. And here A is bigger than B, but that doesn't matter. So then you have 4 squared plus 3 squared, and C is going to be a 5. So this one is pretty easy. When we graph the H, it's negative 3, 1, which is right here. We go up 4 because it's vertical. So you go up and down the A, down 4, and then over 3, and left 3. And then we draw our box, which is going to be our guide to drawing the hyperbola. And then we go up through the corners, okay? So here, it's going to be a vertical, so we know that the parabola is going to hug the up and the down one. And now we just have to find the foci. The foci in a vertical is H comma K minus C and H comma K plus C. So H is negative 3. And K minus C is 1 minus 5, which is negative 4. And K plus 3 plus C is 6. So let's graph those 2 points. We go from the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, which is down here. And 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is up here. So you see that the foci are inside the U. Now for this one, the transverse axis is all of this. So it's twice of A. And the conjugate axis is this way because it's a vertical, so it's twice of B. So conjugate axis length would be 6. Transverse axis would be 8. So here they want you to find the equation given the vertices and the conjugate axis length. So if they give you the conjugate axis length is 18, we know that B is 9 because B is going to be half of the conjugate axis, C and then H and K. Okay? If they give you the vertices, you can figure out that in the vertices, the K didn't change. So you go to the formula that has a plane K, which would be a horizontal formula. The plane K did not change. So this is going to be horizontal. That's how you look at the two and see which one it is. But you can also plot those points on graph paper So 3, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and negative 3, 6 would be right here. Since the vertices are in a horizontal way, you know it's a horizontal. So either way works. So you know that the center is this guy right here, 0, 6. So there we go, we have the center. And now we have to find the rest of the information. So we know that B is 9, and we know that the vertices is what the vertices are. So we know that A connects the vertices from the center. So A has to be 3. And then you have 3 squared plus 9 squared equals C squared. So 9 plus 81 equals C squared. So C is the square root of 90, which is 9.49. So since we know it's horizontal, we know the x goes first. So it's x squared, and then the y goes second, and that would be y minus 6 squared. And we know it's equal to 1. And the A always goes below the positive guy, and the B always goes below the B squared, and the A squared go below the negative guy. So that is your equation, and that's all you have to do on those is find those equations. So here we know that the vertices, the H didn't change. So if you go to the vertices formula, the one that has a H comma, it's going to be vertical. So we know it's vertical. Of course, I did one vertical and one horizontal example, okay? So when we graph the all the points, so here they're giving the vertices, which is up and down, and the conjugate axis. So when I draw a line between these 2 points, it's going to give me the center. Graphing is easy. If not, you just do the midpoint formula. It doesn't matter. So you've got 3 minus 2 is the center. So we have A, B, C, H, and K, and it's 3 and negative 2 is the center. Now they gave us the conjugate axis, which is the B. So we count on the conjugate axis. We count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So B is 6. The whole thing is 12 across, so B is 6. So now we have to figure out A. And if we notice, K plus A equals the bigger of these 2 numbers, and K minus A equals the smaller of those 2 numbers. So I have that K plus A equals 7, and K minus A equals negative 11. So we know that here we can find, we know K, so we have K is negative 2 plus A equals 7, so A equals 9. And if we plugged it into the other one, negative 2 minus A equals negative 11, negative A equals negative 9, so A equals 9. Either way, A is 9. So we're ready to write our equation. We know it's vertical, so we start with the y minus k, and then that would be y plus 2. Let me make that clear. Squared minus x minus 3 squared equals 1. And then we put the a squared underneath the y, and we put the b squared underneath the x. And we're done. For these, all you need is A, B, H, and K. If they give you C and you have to use it to find A and B, then you use it. Otherwise, you don't really need to find C unless you need to use it to find something else. So give me a call if you need any help. These are a little bit more confusing. We're going to take it real slow. See you in a little bit on my Zoom.